Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI, your home for the politically homeless, streaming live at KVI.com and the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, call or text the Warrior Injury Law Studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up today, we'll be tracking the latest election results. We're going to get a big ballot drop from here in Seattle. But before we get to any of that, time for your daily dose of adrenaline.
You want me to stick this into my heart? Are you f***ing nuts?
So, the Democratic Socialists of America are now making their presence known after socialists won elections across the U.S., the most notable one, of course, being in New York City. This is fascinating to me because I've been warning about this literally for years. I've been warning about this since before I had a radio show of how dangerous this group is. Well, yesterday, Hakeem Jeffries, who endorsed Zoran Mamdani for the mayor of New York, was asked if Zoran Mamdani is the new leader of the Democratic Party. And he said no. Well, it's fascinating what happened after that. We have exclusive audio of Zoran Mamdani talking to Hakeem Jeffries shortly after that conversation.
Leave us.
No, you stay here. I'm in charge.
Do you feel in charge?
I've paid you a small fortune.
This gives you power over me?
What is this?
Your money and infrastructure have been important. Till now.
What are you?
I'm Gotham's reckoning.
This is exactly what we are seeing unfolding right now with the DSA and the Democratic Party. Of course, the crustiest, oldest socialist in the United States is Bernie Sanders. And he was asked last night during an interview, do you think that Zoran Mamdani is the leader of the Democratic Party? Bernie Sanders, who has his name on no meaningful legislation despite having served 175 years in the U.S. Senate, I think longer than Nancy Pelosi, here's what he said.
After seeing the results of last night's election, you have said that this is not just a New York City thing, which some people have dismissed his win as. Do you think Zoran Mamdani is a leader in the Democratic Party now?
Well, of course he is. He's going to be the mayor of the city of New York. But what's important about last night is not only that he ran a brilliant campaign. He had 90,000 volunteers. He's incredibly articulate. It's what he talked about during the campaign. And he made it clear what is true in every state in this country is that the richest people in America are becoming phenomenally richer. Billionaires are exploding in terms of wealth. While ordinary people, 60% of people live paycheck to paycheck, ordinary people can't afford health.
I can't listen to him anymore. Bernie Sanders becoming a bigger and bigger millionaire. Nancy Pelosi becoming a bigger and bigger millionaire. You know, it wasn't the working class that voted for Zoran Mamdani, according to all the exit polling. And according to every piece of information we have right now, it was all the college-educated elites who voted for Zoran Mamdani. Chuck Schumer is taking a victory lap on all this, talking about what a great night it was. He doesn't realize he's writing his political obituary. Because if you're turning the party over to the Democratic Socialists of America, they don't take directions from you, Chuck. They don't take directions from Hakeem Jeffries, and I think Hakeem Jeffries is slowly realizing this. They take their orders from the Democratic Socialists of America. How do I know this? We have copies of their endorsement forms. Here's how an endorsement works, typically, when you're running for office. What will happen is an organization will usually invite you to be endorsed by them. You don't normally go to them and say, I want your endorsement, because usually if they haven't invited you, they already have somebody that they've picked. So they will typically invite you. And they will say, we'd like you to fill out this form. How do you feel about the issues that are important to us? And the question is, do you line up with more of their issues than the other guy does or the other gal does? That's what they do. Now, sometimes they'll have forums and sometimes there'll be panels of people, but usually the first step is filling out this form, and then they will invite you for an interview, and then they will invite you for a panel, and then. That's how this usually works. The Democratic Socialists of America works a little differently. If you do not sign on to everything, every single line item, you're not going to get their endorsement. Now, that would normally be fine because organizations should stick to their values if they want you representing their values in government. But what the problem with this is, one of their requirements is to take orders from the Democratic Socialists of America. Do you remember everybody's least favorite Marxist, Shama Sawant, here in Seattle, Washington? She thought the Democratic Socialists of America were not warm and fuzzy enough for her, so she founded her own socialist alternative. And the socialist alternative was who would give her directions. It's who she donated her salary to. It was, here's what we want. Jerry Dunleavy is a reporter over at Just the News. He posted this last night. Here's the New York City DSA Anti-War Working Group's internal document, which they accidentally shared with me. It includes the DSA group's list of demands for the incoming Mamdani administration. Shockingly, basically all the demands are anti-Israel. What does this have to do with being mayor of New York City? Well, maybe because it's home of the largest Jewish population in America. Maybe that's it. Or maybe it's something else. Here's their list. Ready? Divest city pension funds from Israeli bonds and securities. So even if they're doing well, you want to pull all the money out of that. That's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see how it pays off for them. Withdraw city funds from banks that lend money to Israel or do business in Israel. Do you guys know any banks that don't have international monetary funds? Yeah, that's going to be interesting. Good luck with that. Tell me you don't understand economics without telling me you don't understand economics. End city contracts with companies that do business with Israel. Okay. All right. End all city contracts with Microsoft. End all city contracts with Apple. End all city contracts with basically any company you use. Sounds great. You know what, guys? Get rid of all your cell phones because those were invented in Israel. I got a better one. Get rid of all your spyware blockers and all your cybersecurity because most of it was invented in Israel. Operate city-run grocery stores free from Israeli products. Now, for them, they're dum-dums and say anything made by a Jew, it is an Israeli product. So no more Sabra hummus, even though Pepsi bought it years ago. We're getting rid of all your Sabra hummus. Doesn't matter that it's owned by Pepsi. Otherwise, we wouldn't have Dorito-flavored hummus and whatever other atrocities they now have in the grocery store that they call hummus. Moving on. No, they call it Hamas, but that's a different thing. Investigate real estate agents hosting illegal sales of stolen lands in the West Bank. Hang on. So somebody's a real estate broker in Judea and Samaria, the historical birthplace of, Jesus and that whole Maccabee story and all that stuff. Yeah, no, you can't be a real estate broker there at all. Evict weapons manufacturers from the New York City metro area. Time out. Mike, I lived in New York many, many years. Are there any weapons manufacturers? Aside from gangs that are assembling ghost guns. Oh, you want to get rid of the gangs? Okay. All right, hang on. I'm on board now. I'm right there with you. No problem. Remove nonprofit status from charities that raise funds for Israel. Oh, now I see where you're going. So every synagogue, basically that's it. Divest CUNY, that City University of New York endowment, and reinstate wrongly fired professors. Oh, you want to bring back all the Hamas supporters. Great. Dismantle Eric Adams' New York City Israel Economic Council. Well, unlike Gaza, which invests all their money in terror tunnels and missiles, New York is actually investing their money with Israel, who, builds computer chips and builds other technology that we use all the time. Maybe that's something we should be investing in. End NYPD training with the IOF. Oh, you guys messed up. You called it the IDF earlier in this thing. Here, the Israel Occupation Forces. Okay, the NYPD training, They're not busting down doors in Gaza, guys. That would make a really fun cop show, by the way. I think that would be a whole new level of cops. You want to bring back cops? Let's go bust down some doors in Gaza with the IDF. They're sitting there doing counterterrorism training because, that's really bad. Because New York City has never been the victim of a terror attack. We should definitely end all the counterterrorism training. Doesn't the NYPD have like the largest amount of officers in the world of any police department? In fact, they're the same size as some militaries. End repression of demonstrators. Oh, so they're basically don't arrest the peaceful protesters, right? Oh, and here my favorite. Arrest Netanyahu and active IDF soldiers for war crimes. So let's be clear what this is. If my son, who's currently serving in the IDF, goes on a New York City vacation, they want Zoran Mamdani to arrest my son. Or how about this? How about all the Israelis that served in the Israeli army because it's mandatory to serve in the Israeli army? So anybody who has one of those 400 tech companies in Israel, oh my God, it's Atlas Shrugged. They're going to start arresting people, and then they're going to take the companies because that's what Zoran Mamdani, the Marxist, wants to do. Now you may say, Ari, it's just Israel. Ari, it's just New York City. You know what's funny about this? This is nothing new for them. This predates October 7th, and it's not just about the Jews, and it's not just about Israel. When I saw this posted to social media, I thought to myself, wait a minute, I have a file from 2019, which I got through one of my spies. Not going to say how we got this. It was the Mossad. The Mossad did it. I sent in the Zohan, not the Zoran, the Zohan. I sent him in. Adam Sandler went in, stole these documents for me. What am I holding? This is the endorsement questionnaire that Marxist, communist, socialist Sean Scott, who is now a representative in the Washington State Legislature, filled out when he unsuccessfully ran for the Seattle City Council. Would you like to know what the DSA of Seattle is asking people to agree to? Why are you a candidate for this office? What would you say to socialists who are skeptical of electoralism's value? Whoa, 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 whoa. Are you saying you don't want to have elections anymore? Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're saying? You know what, let's go down a little bit more. Let's see what some of their other questions are. Do you identify as a socialist? In American politics, there's a conflation between FDR New Deal and LBJ Great Society type programs and socialist ones. Do you see yourself as separate from these? If so, how? So what they're saying is FDR and LBJ didn't go far enough. We want full socialism. As a democratic socialist that has been inspired by the successful campaigns of DSA candidates like AOC and Julia Salazar, okay, we're gonna keep going from here. We're gonna keep moving from here. We're just gonna move along here. Where's the next one that I really liked in this whole questionnaire? The problem is I have to get through all of Sean Scott's rambling. Here we go. Ready? How will you be accountable to our members once you're in office? Here's what he said. At a recent Seattle DSA Electoral Committee meeting, I made a pledge to offer to meet with every single DSA committee member in the course of my campaign. These meetings will ensure a seamless transition between the ideas I advance on the campaign trail and the ideas of our democratic socialist movement. Additionally, I've committed to meeting with the Seattle DSA Electoral Committee every 2 weeks. Who's running his office now? Here's another one. DSA is campaigning for a single-payer healthcare system, not a patchwork, that provides full, comprehensive coverage, free, at the point of service to all residents, regardless of immigration status. Do you support this vision? Do you support universal and free access to reproductive health care for all, including abortion on demand? How will you use your position locally to advance the cause of health care justice? By the way, this guy writes a Megillah. This thing is longer than my college thesis. What should the local minimum wage be? We're going to keep going through this. Do you oppose state laws preventing cities from enacting rent control legislation and other forms of rent stabilization? How do you plan to fight for affordable housing in this context? soaring rents are forcing people of color out of their historic communities in neighborhoods like the Central District in South Seattle. How do you plan to address the needs of the communities being displaced by gentrification? Do you pledge to fight for universal pre through K, full funding of public schools, against the expansion of charter schools, against residential and social segregation, against school vouchers, and for free universal higher education? Yes, because the free public schools have been such a boon to society, haven't they? Do you support the efforts to tax the rich through income and capital gains taxes? Will you support further progressive reforms and oppose further regressive measures to our tax system? Would you work to lower regressive sales taxes in Seattle by supporting a statewide income tax? And like we discussed just a few days ago, you have Bob Ferguson, who said he was skeptical of an income tax. But let's not forget, he said he didn't want to raise taxes months before signing the largest tax increase in Washington state history. Who do you think is going to propose this year? Did you support efforts to institute an employee head tax on large businesses? You mean that stupid idea that chased Amazon out of Seattle, that now they enacted through the entire state, and now businesses are leaving the state and laying off workers here, but they're doubling down on that? And then we have to get to climate and the environment. By the way, we're not even halfway through this thing. What steps will you take to ensure a truly just transition to renewable energy? Punitive justice and mass incarceration. How will you pursue an end to poverty-based incarceration, including cash bail and imprisonment for failure to pay fines and fees? Then it gets into all the anti-cop stuff, all the defunding the police stuff, and then you have imperialism. What would you do to oppose our imperialist foreign policy and the runaway influence of the military-industrial complex? Yes, because the Seattle City Council gets to determine policy for the U.S. military. What should be done to protect immigrants from both the U.S. government and their employers once they're here in America? They mean illegal ones. In particular, immigrants who travel on visas sponsored by their employers are vulnerable to those employers. What will you do to address this imbalance? He then goes on to talk about abolishing ICE in here. Abolishing ICE, not kidding. Do you support pushing back on attempts to discriminate against the LGBTQ people, including opposing religious exemptions to anti-discrimination laws, bathroom bills, etc.? What will you do? So that means basically churches and synagogues and everything, and mosques for that matter, have to do this stupidity. What will you do to support LGBTQ rights in your community so they don't care about the Constitution at all? Not at all. We're just going to chuck that out there. I mean, this thing is absolute crazy. Absolute crazy. What is your stance on drug decriminalization? We've tried this experiment before, and it's absolutely failed. You are going to see every far left policy imposed in New York. Every single one, or at least as many as he can get away with. What the hope for New York is right now is that he says he's going to do all this stuff, and the New York City legislature or city council won't let him actually do it. And then he could just talk about it all the time, and people will believe he's actually doing it. But it's not just Mamdani. If he's the new leader of the Democratic Party, and if the Democratic Party has been taken over by the Democratic Socialists of America, then guess what, my friends? This is going to be the agenda not just in New York, not just in Seattle, not just in Washington, but in every city where these guys get or got elected. Mike found this clip. Tell me, is it Bane from The Dark Knight Rises, or is it Zoran Mamdani?
We take Gotham from the corrupt, the rich, the oppressors of generations who have kept you down with myths of opportunity, and we give it back to you, the people.
Yeah, okay. He says with the tanks, and everybody's hiding out in their houses. I remember when the autonomous zone happened in downtown, in Capitol Hill in Seattle, And it was like, we have taken the streets for the people, but not you. You're not allowed in here, and not you. You're not allowed in here. And we're going to have our Antifa goons patrol the place and keep people out, and we're going to target businesses, and we're going to harass people and beat people up. Zoran Mamdani, literally Bane. Not as cool, but literally Bane. And this is what is coming to a city near you. A lot of Seattle people say, we've seen this nightmare before. Well, my friends, coming up later in the show, we're going to have the latest ballot drops and see if Katie Wilson's going to take the lead from Bruce Harrell. But when we come back right now, my friends, lots more to discuss as the show continues, including more election results here in Seattle. And Nancy Pelosi is retiring. Does that mean that she got all the money she could out of the stock tips? You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show. Chris Daniels, the senior reporter for Como News, has some election updates for us. He posted on social media, King County plans to add another 75,000 ballots to the count today, 30,000 estimated from Seattle. Huge Election Day ballot drop-off numbers. Seattle skyrocketed to nearly 55% voter turnout, 11 points higher than the entirety of the county. Does this mean the Sonics are coming back? Oh, wait, it doesn't say that last part. I'm so used to those reports. What does this mean for the Sonics coming back? Did the NBA know about the ballot drop results? Are we getting the Sonics back in Seattle? So here's a little problem here. We saw this with Kashama Sawant the last time she ran for office, where we all thought she was going to lose, was that there was ballot drop after ballot drop after ballot drop, and those late ballots tend to lean left. Can I just point something out here? Mike, we're talking about 800,000 people live in Seattle. 800,000 people. That's it. 55% of that, let's say it's 450,000. Let's just say it is, even though it's not. Let's just say it's that, okay? So, you're saying that it takes you a week to count all those? You want to tell me how France can count 27 million votes in one day? Or here, how about this? Israel has 9 million people in the entire country. Would you like to tell me how they can get their election results back in one day, and we can't do this in one day? It takes a whole week. This is why people have questions about it. But for Bruce Harrell, is that if enough of those things come in and they're trending the other direction, he could be in serious trouble. I got this text over on the Warrior Injury Law text line. It says from Jeff and Kent, Mike, you're going to love this. This is a good one. The Sonics will not be back. That's very good. That's very good.
We should start a parody Twitter account. It's like, are the Sonics back? And it'd be like, no.
No. Just every day.
It'd
just
be like the Jimmy Carter account, except for they had one job on that one day and then they failed.
Exactly. I would just post that. Mike, that's a great one. Are the Sonics coming back today? No. And then imagine what happens the day it says yes. That'd be kind of funny. I think we should actually do that.
What do you mean, no?
So then, this one here. Yeah, thank you, Captain. Ari, you are today's Paul Revere. It's a shame the greater voting population doesn't know any better. You've been warning everyone for years, as did Dory Monson. May he rest in peace. The commies aren't just coming. They've been here for a long time. Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with you there. This one here from Jeff and Kent. He also says city contracts with Apple and Microsoft. The city wouldn't have any computers or cell phones, referencing the DSA saying cut all ties to anybody who does business with Israel. Oh, crazy stuff. Switching gears over to our other favorite topic, by the way, food cart legislation. So we've been talking about these illegal food carts that have been all over our stadium landscape here in Seattle, where you have these illegal vendors who are selling hot dogs when you go into or out of a sporting event here in Seattle. And it looks like the conservative movement here in town finally found out about this story, because now they're all covering it, except I think they're missing the forest for the trees. What happened was, who was it? King 5 did a report about how overregulation is killing the legal food vendors here in town. I agree. 1,000%. I completely agree with you. We've discussed it. We've discussed it a lot. One guy paying $50,000 in licenses, that is insane. Absolutely insane, just to sell food. Plus, I know what those food handlers permits are. They're like nothing. But between your business taxes and all your supervision taxes, I know a guy who's operating a food business right now out of his apartment, and he's not even getting certification. People are just going, you know what, I trust the guy, and as long as I don't get botulism, I'm going to go over to his house and I'm going to buy whatever I want. But in this case, I think the movement has missed the fact that Mike and I saw that the majority of these people are illegal aliens. And we have King County that, because of sanctuary city, sanctuary county, sanctuary state laws, is targeting the illegal food vendors who are U.S. citizens and not targeting the illegal aliens who are also the illegal vendors. There is an uneven application of the law here. And I think it'd be fascinating for somebody to sue over this. It really, really would be. I grant you, I agree with the regulation. It's bad. I read Atlas Shrugged. It's bad. I've owned businesses. Overregulation. Super, super bad. But guys, this is a multi-level problem where you have King County bragging about how many of these places they shut down, and the King 5 report says they couldn't give out fines to the people they shut down, using air quotes, because they didn't have addresses and they aren't allowed to ask for IDs. But in the meantime, they were able to boot all the people who are Americans. And interestingly enough, as Mike pointed out, most of those are people of color. Hey, King 5, why aren't you covering this? You're the most leftist news outlet in town that's in TV. I would think this would be perfect for you. They are shutting down the black vendors, but letting the Hispanic vendors stay. And you guys aren't doing anything about that? And to my friends in conservative media, you guys are missing a whole angle on this story. Hey, just call ICE and have them come down to the stadiums. We'll take care of the... You know what, Mike? We screwed up. We screwed up. We should have called ICE that night at the stadiums. Could have gotten some more fun video than what we just had. You would have solved the food vendor problem. Oh, but then you know what's going to happen? Some Democrat's going to go on the news. His cart was right there. And they kidnapped him. They kidnapped him from his family. Ma'am, that man was a child rapist and a murderer. But you kidnapped him from his family. Yes, I know this is what would happen.
See, I think if we just called ICE, that would fix the unrefrigerated hot dogs problem. Oh, my God.
There you go.
Disgusting. But, yeah, no, you're totally right, Ari, because, like, I think our friends in conservative media, friends of the show, Todd Myers, friend of the show, picked a fight with me on Twitter today over the hot dogs. He's like, well, do you follow sanitation codes where you're at home? Well, I don't. I'm not serving to the public when I'm at home, Todd. She's not my dad. She's not my mom, Todd. Do restaurant staff follow all health codes religiously when the health department is around? I don't know. Why can't people who are willing to take a risk and buy a hot dog from a vendor get to make that choice? That's where we kind of align, because sure, that's fine. Up to, like, say, a year ago, maybe like a year and a half ago, this wasn't even on my radar. I like the street dogs. I looked forward to street dogs like Al's Gourmet Sausage, one of my favorite pre and post event treats. No longer there because they're legal citizens and got pushed out by these regulations. But Honduran folks in their rickety Harbor Freight tools thing with the duct tape and the sterno and barely a chafing tray, make it unsafe, unregulated hot dogs. Gross. But then Todd gets to his point in question 4. Is the $50,000 a year in permits about health or taxes? And now yes. I get his pseudo-libertarian point of view, and I get it, and I agree. But this isn't about hot dogs. This isn't about taxes. This is about how there's one set of rules for one set of population and a different set of rules for a different set of population.
Right. I see Todd's coming at this from the Atlas Shrugged perspective.
Yeah, I get it. I
totally get it. You want the Galt's Gulch. I'm with you on it. I agree with you. But what I think here that a lot of people are missing, uneven application of the law. You're cracking down on some while allowing others, on top of all the regulatory stuff that we already know is going on. And I know everybody focused on that from the King 5 piece, but you guys are really missing a huge aspect of the story that I think you will see firsthand the next time you go to a sporting event. I want our friends, who I know listen to the show, I want our friends to go look at who's serving out there in the parking lots. When we come back, by the way, you know who's not going to be serving anymore? Nancy Pelosi. That's right. She's gone, announced her retirement, and I thought to myself, wait a minute, well, hang on. Did she get enough money to retire on? I'm a little worried about her financial stability. We'll find out when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. just sent this over to me. This is absolute gold. Apparently, New York Post editor-in-chief Keith Poole emailed the New York Pravda staff thanking them for their coverage of Supreme Leader Chairman Zoran. Okay, this is great. Now, something you need to know. They had a cover with Zoran holding the hammer and sickle, and it was a great issue, and it sold out. So much so that people were selling it on eBay afterwards. When's the last time a newspaper sold out? Maybe 9/11? Something like that. But here's the note he wrote to everybody. To all my comrades at the New York Pravda, I want to thank everyone for their incredible efforts in covering the historic mayoral election, which saw our Supreme Leader, Chairman Zoran, take his rightful place. From the months of lead-up coverage through the all-nighter top ranking for the election night live blog, and the cherry on top being Pete Levina's viral and sold-out front cover. A special shout-out to the long-suffering and unsung editorial page team for wrangling in a dozen or so upfront, second-to-none commentary pieces yesterday. It was a huge amount of work in all our departments, overseeing our various means of production. Executed with dedication, utter professionalism, attention to detail, and our characteristic wit and impact. Our generous new party leaders are so impressed that each loyal worker will be rationed an extra small potato this week. Oh, that is the best. that is really, really good. So the good keeps on coming. Nancy Pelosi says that she's retiring. Hang on a second. Mike, why is this news? Didn't she already say she wasn't running for office? Doesn't that mean you're retiring? I woke up to the news today about this where people go, oh, Nancy Pelosi's retiring. I said, in other news, water still wet. This is not something that's new. In fact, Scott Wiener, that degenerate in California who likes showing his hot dog, that guy is already announced he's running for her seat. We've covered all these stories. Why is it news that Nancy Pelosi is she released a video. Oh, I see. We're making a production of this now. So it's going to be like when Derek Jeter retired. And Derek Jeter goes to all the stadiums and everybody gives him a present. I mean, that's nice and all, but what, we're going to go on the Pelosi goodbye tour now? I guess that's what's happening. Donald Trump, in his signature characteristic wit, had this to say about Nancy Pelosi.
I think she's an evil woman. I'm glad she's retiring. I think she did the country a great service by retiring. I think she was a tremendous liability for the country.
And Dick Cheney.
I thought she was an evil woman who did a poor job, who cost the country a lot in damages and in reputation. I thought she was terrible.
By the way, I'll agree. Is there anything good Nancy Pelosi has done? Obamacare is an absolute disaster. Ironically, she announces that she's retiring, even though we knew she was retiring, on the same day we're still fighting about Obamacare during the shutdown. Wow, what a leader. Obamacare is one of the things causing this mess. The Democrats want Trump to save Obamacare, even though the thing is a colossal, colossal disaster. In fact, the president said so shortly thereafter.
Obamacare is a disaster. The Obamacare premium is going to go up 17 or 18%, and that's not my fault. I didn't want Obamacare. That's the fault of the people that put it in, the Democrats. And now they want it subsidized further. But, where you take it from them, you take it from a lot of other people. We could have much better health care at a much lower price.
He's right. I lost my doctor, I lost my plan, and I think my health care costs tripled thanks to Obamacare. Thanks, guys. Oh, by the way, I have no pre-existing conditions aside from the fact that I'm a little tubby. I'm a little huskier than I used to be. That might be it. I'm in good health. Thank God. Haven't had any major surgeries or anything like that. Worst thing that ever happened to me is I broke my coccyx because I fell on the floor. That's a whole nother story we'll talk about another time. But yeah, it is a disaster, and they want Trump to fix it. By the way, it's fascinating to me. Democrat Senator Peter Welch even admitted this today on the floor.
I owe you an answer on why it is I'm standing here today asking to extend something that was temporary. And here's the reason. We did fail to bring down the cost of health care.
Yeah, you did. You made it more expensive. You came up with this Frankenstein monster that's now bankrupting the country. 10 other things are bankrupting the country, too. Speaker of the House Johnson, actually a good Speaker of the House, said this.
We go to the third one. False claim number 3, Democrats are fighting for health care. You've heard this over and over and over. Let me say something very simply about this false claim. It is the Democrats who created Obamacare. It is the Democrats who did that without any Republican votes. It's the Democrats who, by extension, have cost the American taxpayers and people who have health insurance have made their costs skyrocket. It is their policies that made that happen. And so instead of reforming it, the Democrats don't reform Obamacare. They want to subsidize it. They want to spend more taxpayer dollars.
Exactly. Do you remember Nancy Pelosi when they were passing Obamacare, walking through the crowds with her little gavel, trying to make a spectacle? You know they have underground passageways that they use all the time? She did that specifically for the reaction. Joining us now on the Warrior Injury Law Studio line, none other than Nancy Pelosi. Congresswoman Pelosi, thank you so much for being on the show.
Well, Ari, very happy to be here.
Oh, thank you. What would you say about your retirement?
Well, Paul says we finally have enough to retire on, so I'm going to call it quits.
Thank you, Speaker Pelosi. Really do appreciate you joining us today. Unbelievable. Yeah, I wonder if now you can get her to vote against members of Congress being able to trade stocks now that she's leaving Congress. Bet you could probably get her vote now, right? You know whose vote I want? Sydney Sweeney's. That's right. When we come back, my friends, tell you how Sydney Sweeney shut down a woke reporter. We'll have that awesome audio for you, plus so much more. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. The controversy, and I'm using air quotes for the word controversy, over Sydney Sweeney's jeans campaign for American Thank you, Mike. Over the summer has reached a new level of crazy. The left keeps trying to make this a controversy. Do you guys not realize every time you do that, you make her more popular and you sell more jeans? You're really ratcheting up your game over there today, aren't you?
I blame my friends on the Northwest Auto Show that you can listen to every Saturday morning from 6 to 9 a.m. I have found another bank of sound effects of ones that you might recognize, but they're a little different.
Okay. Wow.
Just really laying on that one.
Just putting that one there. So what happens? She's doing this interview with GQ. I want you to listen how the question is phrased from the reporter, and then listen to Sydney Sweeney's answer. Now, let me set this up for you. Sydney Sweeney is sitting there with this look on her face. Typical Gen Z kid, or I don't know, what is it, Gen now? I don't even know what generation it is. But she's sitting there, and she's got that look on the face with just, are you really asking me that? Do I really have to answer this? I could be doing literally anything else right now, like scrolling on my phone. That is the look she is giving this reporter during this.
You've made a really good case for keeping your thoughts and your life separate from that work. But the risk is that, there's a chance that somebody will get some idea about what you think about certain issues and feel like, I don't want to see Christy because of that. Like, do you worry about that?
No.
The criticism of the content, which was basically that maybe specifically in this political climate, like, white people shouldn't joke about genetic superiority. Like, that was kind of like the criticism, broadly speaking. And since you are talking about this, I just wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about that specifically.
I think that when I have an issue that I want to speak about, people will hear.
So that's basically, if I want to talk about white superiority, I'll talk about it. If I want to talk about racism, I'll talk about it. What a dumb question. So if people call you a Nazi because you are promoting jeans, does that make you a Nazi? I gotta tell you, this is why media is dead. This is why nobody pays any attention to the mainstream media anymore, because they ask questions like this. Also, GQ, stick with the fashion. Here's a question for you. Hey, lady, you're kind of known for a different part of your anatomy rather than your jeans. Why are we talking about that? See, something like that. I don't know what you ask in a fashion magazine. Thank you, Mike. But this is ridiculous nonsense. And this is why people are tired of the woke garbage. The ad says Sydney Sweeney has great jeans. And you guys went into white supremacist town with that? Stop trying to make Nazism happen. Stop trying to make everybody a white supremacist. Fetch ain't gonna happen. This is the nonsense they got to talk about over at GQ. Beyond crazy. Absolutely beyond crazy. That this is still going on months later. Hey, Mike, you know what I forgot to look at? I forgot to look at the stock for American Eagle to see their gains and market share and all that, because I know how much you love that. I want to look up their quarterly profit statement. We'll do all that. You know what? Just for that, we'll do some Googling during the commercials here. Lots more to discuss as the show continues, my friends. When we come back, we'll see if the latest ballots have dropped to see if Katie Wilson is still trailing Bruce Harrell, so hopefully we don't have Mini Mamdani running Seattle. That plus so much more. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI, your home for the politically homeless, streaming live at KVI.com and the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, call or text the Warrior Injury Law Studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up this hour, air traffic is going to be affected by the Democrats' latest shutdown. But before we get to any of that, got some breaking news for you right now.
Talk Radio 570 KVI. Breaking news on the Ari Hoffman Show.
Another batch of ballots has dropped. And as I'm looking at the updated election results for one of the most watched races in our area, Seattle Mayor Bruce Harrell is still leading Katie Wilson. In fact, he's opened up that lead a little bit. He's leading her 52% to 46%. Oh, I take that back. It's actually reduced a little bit. So the lead was 8 points. Now it's a little bit over 6 at this point. So it's gotten a little tighter, but he is still leading, even after all these usually lefty, more lefty leaning ballots come in. Now, some people have had some hot takes over what's going on with these ballots, and I'm going to answer this for you. Basically, people are saying, wait a minute, I don't understand. If you have a socialist winning for city council and you have another socialist winning for city council and you have a far lefty winning for Seattle city attorney and you have all these lefties winning, why is Bruce Harrell still winning? And I think I can give you the answer to this. Katie Wilson is that unlikable that people showed up to vote for Bruce Harrell, who they hate, who may not even have voted in the other races. For example, I have family members of mine. They didn't vote in the other races. They wrote in me. They wrote in dead grandparents. They wrote in Mickey Mouse. They wrote in Indiana Jones. They wrote in Darth Vader. But for the mayor's race, they go, she is so terrible. We actually have to vote for Bruce Harrell. If he wins, that's why. Not because people actually like him. That's what I think is going on. I know people who didn't fill out the rest of their ballot. They just circled in him, said no to all the taxes, and then mailed it in because there was nobody else worth voting for. That's what I think is happening. If he wins, that is why. Now, I don't want anybody getting overly excited at this point because we know what always happens. Don't forget, Shama Sawant, the Marxist, in her most recent race, what happened was she was trailing by double digits until Friday. And Friday is when her challenger turned into a pumpkin. Is that going to happen again? Now, here's something else that ticks me off. You would think to count 175,000 ballots shouldn't take 4 days. But yet, that's where we are. That's where we are. There's 505,000 registered voters in Seattle. There's about 800,000 people who live in Seattle. So what you're telling me is not everybody's a registered voter, and it's taken you 4 days to count 175,000 ballots? All right, let's forget other countries for a second. New York City. 8 million people in New York City. They had the results in 45 minutes. Nobody's accusing them of voter fraud. 45 minutes. How come we can't get this done here? And by the way, when you guys keep having math errors on your sites and you still haven't fixed it, election cycle after election cycle where the math doesn't add up to 100%, this is how you give fodder to people who have challenges with the election system here. We go to the Warrior Injury Law Studio line, take a call from Steve in Gig Harbor. Steve, what's on your mind, man? Hello, Steve. Steve, are you there? Going once.
Yeah, I heard you
talking
about the Sweeney thing, and I'm glad I'm not a celebrity or something, because if someone would have asked me something like that, I would have just been so blunt and just been like, do you remember the Brooke Shields commercial where she said nothing comes between me and my Calvins? And I guess she wasn't a blonde chick, though, but
well, think about
play
this.
on words, I come from good genes. If you think anything other than that, you're an idiot, and I don't want you to follow me.
Think about this. The Brooke Shields one was way more controversial. Wasn't Brooke Shields like 14 at the time? She was way underage. Sydney Sweeney, what is she, like 25 or something like that? Way more controversial at the time. And yet, this is what we have to get upset about around here? This is the big controversy of the day. Sydney Sweeney. I do like this text from John in Auburn. Here, we're going to ask you what you think, Steve. Ari, please allow Big Mike more freedom with the honka-honka. It makes my wife giggle. John in Auburn. You like that one, Steve?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And
sorry, Pam.
About the ballots, real quick about the ballots. When I put mine in for our local ones in Pierce County, I got the text message that they received the ballot and everything, and so I kind of like that you get your immediate thing saying your ballot was received and whatever.
Yeah,
so
I like that. But King County, they took off the QR code that used to be at the top of the ballots where you could easily check your ballot. Now you got to go find the website, and it's a little bit more work. And I got to say, they just make us more and more uninterested in voting. It's like they want to disenfranchise the voters. Steve, appreciate the call. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. We go back to the Warrior Injury Law studio line. Take a call from Ben in SeaTac. Ben, what's up, man?
I'm commenting about this cost of living that you're talking about yesterday and what Republicans and all that need to do. Well, first thing you need to do is show the difference between costs of everything between red states and blue states. There's nothing the Trump administration can do about Washington State, and Trump needs to bring that up. I see Ferguson constantly trying to blame rising prices on Trump and the tariffs, which isn't true. It's from his fossil fuel taxes and everything else. And we need to show what the costs are between red states and blue states. So the inflation rates, if we took the blue states and didn't count them, would be way better. I got friends that live in Oklahoma. They're not paying nothing like they are here. And it's because it's a red state. They're first off, it starts off, they're paying almost $2 a gallon less for regular gas. And even the minimum wage, you get a couple things at a fast food place for under $10. I mean, you just got to show the red states versus blue states. Show the whole thing, how much a pound, because we're up there in groceries, have been up there. Washington State has been one of the highest grocery places in the country for a long time. Show what a pound of burger costs in the red states, blue states. Haven't even broken down state by state.
By the way,
all the Democrat states are the worst places. We have to show that and Trump can't do anything about the problems here. He saved our dams in eastern Washington by pulling federal funds. Thank God for that, or we have California-style electricity prices before we know
Well, I'll
it.
say this, Ben. You're 100% right in what you're saying. And actually, I'm going to drop a note to a friend of mine who's in the press office over there about your idea because I think it's a really good one. You may not be able to do anything about the blue states. Like, for example, you're talking about the Climate Commitment Act, how it's driving up gas prices. But what you can do is show the difference between gas prices everywhere else and here. I know anytime, Mike knows this, anytime I do a post about gas prices, anytime I share Todd Meyer stuff about gas prices, those posts instantly go viral every single time because people can't believe how outrageous it is here. In New York, I was in New York for my niece's bat mitzvah. Holy cow, their gas prices were half the price of ours in a different blue state. You are 100% right, Ben. And I can't believe nobody's thought of that beforehand, or maybe they have and they're saving it up. But that is exactly what the messaging of the week should be. Ben, appreciate the call. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, give us a call or text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. We go back to the Warrior Injury Law studio line, take a call from Ron in Tacoma. Ron, what's up?
Oh, I'm just, I can't tell you how upset I am about this lawfare with this judge trying to order Trump to fund SNAP. First of all, that's illegal. I don't know why the Republicans are standing on top of these people over this. You know that the only thing that Trump has done is basically Democrats are refusing to fund it. It's not that Trump ever shut it down. And this Rhode Island judge is just using lawfare just like they continue to do. And, you know, all day I've been hearing the Democrats saying that Trump is doing like these political prosecutions. That's not what I'm seeing at all. What I'm seeing is the Democrats using politics to get away with crime.
Well, they've literally admitted it. They've literally admitted that what they are doing is using the shutdown and using the fact that people are suffering to try and get Trump to cave. And I got to say, Trump has kind of caved a little bit. He now says, hey, get rid of the filibuster, and Republicans should just do it. Do not get rid of the filibuster. That's a really, really bad idea. But the Democrats, we literally played audio clips of them saying they were using it. What was it? The Democrat House Whip was saying, yes, we're using it for leverage. All this stuff with the airlines not being able to fly as many planes because of the air traffic controllers, this is because of the Democrats are here. Ron, I'll do you one better. You know, today, the Republicans proposed that nobody in Congress gets paid until the shutdown is over, and the Democrats rejected that. They rejected that. So at this point, after continuing resolution, after clean CR, after clean CR, after clean CR, after the election, what else do they want? Appreciate the call. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to chime in on all this, you give us a call, 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. We go to the Warrior Injury Law text line, and we have this one here from... Who's this from right here? This one here. Ari, what's the difference from the 206? Ari, what's the difference between a Democratic Socialist and a National Socialist? Well, I'll tell you what. We're going to bring in famed political correspondent Vanilla Ice to explain this for us.
It's not the same. Ours goes ding, 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 diggy, ding, ding. Ding, 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 diggy, ding, ding. Ding, 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 ding. That's the way theirs goes. Ours goes ding, 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 diggy, ding, ding. Ding, 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 diggy, ding, ding. That little bitty change. It's not the same.
It's not the same. Just like the difference between Democrats and Democratic Socialists. It's not the same right now. We go back to the Warrior Injury Law studio line. Take a call from our frenemy, Bennett the protester. Bennett, what's on your mind today?
Hey, mix it up a little bit. So we never talked about this on the show, but remember back in about a month ago when they had the rally on the anniversary of October 7th and in Seattle, and they were calling it Long Live October 7th, and you saw the picture where I guess the first time I went down to actually counter-protest it, where I had a sign that says, Free Palestine, F Netanyahu, but stop cheering for October 7th, you absolute, what can we say?
Keep it clean. No. You can stop right there. Keep it clean.
You saw the sign. Okay. You absolute blank Muppets, whatever. But, I've always said that I was somebody that called out both sides if I thought they deserved it. You remember what I'm talking about. I think
I saw the picture. You went down to counter-protest them. You may not agree with Israel, but you think that celebrating a massacre is bad.
Yeah, well, I mean, and there's one woman in particular who comes to a lot of these. She was the one where at the previous rally, she was saying things like, say it with your full chest, long live October 7th, and we're getting people chanting, and I was the one in the back. I was, oh my God, you guys, seriously. So I do always keep my eye, when I go to these things, I'm always seeing if her and her full chest are there. Okay, I didn't mean that. That's not what I meant.
I was going to say, what are you looking at? What's your point here, Bennett? Get to the point.
Hang on. No, Mike, don't you dare play the. Don't you
Bennett, you're burning airtime here. Just tell us what the point is here, man.
Well, I mean, as far as calling out both sides, like you did. Remember when Mamdani was elected, you did tweet out that image of the two planes hitting the Twin Towers in New York.
Whoa. Me resharing a meme that went out from a parody account. You're mad at me about that? Because it's kind of entertaining. Deborah Messing got flack about that too. So you're mad that I tweeted out. What happened was Rabbi Linda Goldstein, who's neither a rabbi nor named Linda, nor last name Goldstein, nor a woman, by the way, is a parody account. And what they put out is they put out a picture of 9/11 with the white smoke coming off the Twin Towers. And it says, white smoke, New York elects a new mayor. That was what I tweeted out. Is that what we're talking about here?
I can't remember if you did more than one thing where, okay, better late than never, but thank you for the rim shot, Mike. I can't remember if that was the only one. I thought you'd also tweeted out. There was
Bennett, what's the point we're getting to here? What's the point we're getting to here? We're burning airtime and there's election results. What's the point today?
I'm just saying I've seen people from New York on Twitter saying they see people post about, when Mamdani winning, oh my God, have we forgotten everything, and posting pictures of 9/11, and quite a few of them think that that's not very appropriate.
Well, Bennett, here's the thing, is that you have a guy who's literally been spewing anti-Semitism, who is literally out in the streets being one of those people for the long live October 7th, and if you don't like that, excuse me, he most certainly, Bennett, he rapped about the Holy Land 5. The Holy Land 5, he said, I'm in love with the Holy Land 5. The Holy Land 5 were convicted for funneling money to Hamas. Federally convicted for that. Appreciate the call. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, give us a call or text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Meanwhile, according to the FAA, 800 flights have been delayed, as the FAA has slashed the traffic at 40 airports by 10%, including D.C., New York City, L.A., because of the government shutdown. I'm looking at Alaska Airlines right now. They say in light of ATC staffing shortages due to the ongoing government shutdown, the FAA has directed U.S. airlines to reduce flights at 40 domestic airports. We have assessed our schedule and begun canceling a limited number of flights effective Friday, November 7th. The FAA's directive is expected to remain in place until further guidance is issued and the shutdown concludes. International flying is not expected to be affected. So hang on a second here. If the airlines are so concerned about it, you know what the airlines could do right now? Why don't you guys step up and say, we're going to help pay for the air traffic controllers so we can continue flying our airplanes? I saw that suggestion over on the text line. We have the Republicans saying we won't take a salary. Airlines could step up and help out with that kind of thing. It'd be really nice if all the airlines got together and just said, hey, guys, let's pay the air traffic controllers. I don't know if there's a conflict of interest there because of the FAA and there's regulation versus private industry, whatever the case may be. But why haven't the airlines stepped up to do that? The main note here is make sure you check with your carrier before going to the airport because it could be super bad right now. Super bad. Meanwhile, switching back to the election results, this one here, Jim Bruner from the Seattle Times is talking about the glitches that we've been seeing on election night. Here, King County, Mike and I both had this issue. King County election results, by the way. So it has it lined up here on their page where it has the election results updated by day. They just updated the November 5th ones now, Mike. They just updated those now. I'm pulling everything off the Secretary of State's website. This is absolutely terrible. I don't understand how you guys run things over there. The Secretary of State's office, you've got technical glitches where you don't have numbers adding up. I understand it's one thing. People said, what about the ballots that are subtracted from the count? Sometimes they find issues with ballots. That one I actually understand. But the fact that you guys have technical problem after technical problem after technical problem, this is how you disenfranchise voters. Jim Bruner writing an article for the Seattle Times about it is not going to solve all the questions I have when every year there's problems. Florida had big problems one year. In fact, it went on for what, a month, 2 months, something like that in 2000? Hanging chads became part of our lexicon, and they fixed it. Now the results come back super fast. It seems like around here, they're determined to make the results worse and the system less effective. We go back to the Warrior Injury Law studio line, take a call from the Grumpy Dragon. Grumpy Dragon, what are you grumpy about today?
Remember a few years ago when Obamacare first came out, Jimmy Kimmel was on air crying that his kid couldn't get the surgery he needed because he couldn't get Obamacare?
Yes, I remember this.
Why isn't Jimmy Kimmel on the air crying now because his kid can't get food because of the SNAP problem?
Well, because then he would have to blame the Democrats. Because then he would get ratioed really hard for that. And I think Jimmy Kimmel, if he wanted to get more attention, his ratings cratered after they had that artificial bump because of the cancellation. I don't think anybody's heard from Jimmy Kimmel since then. But Jimmy Kimmel only does it if it can help Democrats or demonize Donald Trump. Right now, everybody knows this is the Democrat shutdown. Appreciate the call. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. John in Auburn says, Ari, if the government is shut down, nobody should get paid. I agree, by the way. You know what you do? You put all the Congress people in one room together, turn off the air conditioning, and say no bathroom breaks until you guys fix this. That's the easiest way to do this. Murphy says in response to Bennett's call, Mamdani was arrested a couple days after October 7th protesting in front of Chucky Schumer's house. Exactly. Go look up the videos of that guy and what he was protesting. As the show continues, my friends, we got a lot more to discuss, including more Democrat false claims about ICE are getting debunked. And this one is a doozy. We'll tell you what happened when we come back in Chicago. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome back to the Ari Hoffman Show. Just a reminder to download the KVI app to enter to win our contest to see The Running Man, the remake of The Running Man, in theaters at an advanced screening with us on November 10th at Pacific Place. Download the KVI app right now, and you get to see it 4 days before it comes out. We're going to be there November 10th at Pacific Place. The movie comes out November 14th. Make sure you download the KVI app right now and enter for your chance to win. Plus, then you never miss a minute of the show. So the left was going bonkers, absolutely bonkers, claiming that ICE arrested a daycare worker. How dare you? You arrested a daycare worker. Oh, the humanity. Yeah, well, ICE and DHS came out with a statement and explained exactly what happened. And the crazy thing to me was, even after they put this out, the left kept going with their talking point. The Department of Homeland Security refuted widespread media claims that U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents conducted an immigration enforcement operation inside a daycare center in Chicago, Illinois, in front of children, and announced that the suspect led officers on a chase before being arrested. According to DHS, Santillana Galeno, an illegal alien from Colombia, first entered the U.S. unlawfully on June 26, 2023. and was subsequently released into the country under the Biden administration's border policies. Last month, officials say she allegedly paid smugglers to bring her two children, ages 16 and 17, into the U.S. illegally near El Paso, Texas. Customs and Border Protection agents apprehended the minors upon entry, classifying them as unaccompanied alien children. They were transferred to a shelter in the Chicago area consistent with federal law governing unaccompanied minors. DHS reports that ICE officers attempted to conduct a targeted traffic stop of a vehicle registered to Santillana Galeno. Despite law enforcement activating emergency lights and sirens, the male driver allegedly refused to pull over. The vehicle fled into a shopping plaza where both occupants, Santillana Galeno and the male driver, abandoned the car and ran into a daycare facility. Inside the building, the pair attempted to barricade themselves, an act DHS said was recklessly endangering the children inside. ICE officers arrested Santillana Galeno in a vestibule area, not inside any classroom or in the presence of children. What do you think's more terrifying, by the way? Random people running into your school and then barricading the front door, or the police coming to stop them? Which is more terrifying, do you think? The male suspect reportedly barricaded himself inside the daycare. Details on his identity and possible criminal charges remain under investigation. Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin, friend of the show, emphasized that ICE was not targeting schools or daycare centers, calling the narrative a false and dangerous distortion. In fact, the Washington Post picked up this false narrative, ran with it, and Homeland Security retweeted them and wrote, "How do you people sleep at night after lying all day to the American people like this?" ICE law enforcement did not target a daycare and were only at this location because the female illegal alien fled inside. And then they told the real story. Seriously, the lies of these people. So, Mike, here's a story I'm working on right now. There was a story that everybody in the Seattle media did, and everybody in the Seattle media missed the same thing. Maybe you've heard about the story of the guy in Shoreline who waited for his wife to come home while hiding under a bush and then killed her. This story was everywhere in Seattle media. So you know what I did? I looked up the actual court documents, not the press release, from the King County prosecutor. You know what it says? The guy's a flight risk because he has family in Mexico, and that he didn't speak English. So they need to bring in a translator to talk to him about his rights, et cetera, et cetera. This story screams illegal alien. But Mike, you haven't seen that on my social media, have you? And you haven't seen me write about it on KVI.com, have you? And you haven't seen me send it over to the Post-Millennial, have you? Of course not. You know why? Because I'm still waiting on a statement from ICE. I still haven't gotten the statement from ICE to find out if the guy is actually an illegal alien or not. I gave them his birthday. I gave him his address. I gave him his name. I gave him all the information they need, and I know it takes a couple days. But the Washington Post ran with this false story. The AP ran with this story. WGN which is their big news in Chicago, ran with the story with nobody verifying it at all. You know what the story would be if we had an honest media? Illegal aliens barricade themselves in daycare center. DHS saves kids. Can't do a headline on the fly, but isn't that a lot more? Oh, right. That defeats the narrative of they're just, they just came here for the jobs. We go to the Warrior Injury Law studio line, take a call from Elaine in Marysville. Elaine, what's going on?
Hi, Ari. A bit of good news about an election, and that's the local City of Snohomish Mayor, Ari Hoffman, winning over incumbent Redmond, and who was more woke. And Aaron is going to be a breath of fresh air for the folks of Snohomish. My daughter has a small business in the city, and the current mayor and crew were trying to cut out parking places, which is, if you've been to Snohomish, already know they're in tight supply. They did not have a friendly bone in their body towards small businesses or the taxpayers in the community. And Aaron, who is going to be the new mayor, is wonderful and a breath of fresh air. And even the Teamsters, I think there's a public works folks voted for Aaron. So in this time of, not so good situations in New York and et cetera, Snohomish City, the city of Snohomish has a good deal going.
Do me a favor, Elaine. I'm going to ask you to do a favor. I think I saw this guy's name yesterday, and I was looking at this race a little bit. I haven't had the time to dig into all the races, but I definitely like his last name, Hoffman. So aside from wanting to find out if we're related or not, I definitely want to have him on the show. Would you mind terribly just dropping me an email reminder, ari@kvi.com? Just send that on over to me, and I'll reach out and have him on the show.
I would do that. And another thing, he's a Christian, and he says, I'm not here with my religious beliefs. I'm here to be fiscally responsible and serve the patient, I'm a nurse, so I say patients, but the citizens of Snohomish. And
well, Elaine, I don't care what religion the guy is. I got plenty of friends who are Christian. I got friends who are Catholic. I got friends who are Muslim. But I don't care about his religion. I just care if he's going to have good fiscal and safety policy for you guys.
Right. The current, and I don't live in Snohomish, but like I said, my daughter has a small business, but the current administration of Snohomish and their minions tried to really smear him on the basis of his religion. And that was abhorrent. But he went doorbelling with his family. His wife has a small business. And it's just a breath of fresh air. And I will email you that. He's a great guy.
Excellent.
Young father, fiscally responsible. And when you have the Teamsters endorse you, that says something.
Well, notice that the people who voted for the socialists, as I said earlier in the show, Elaine, the people who voted for the socialists are not the working class. Not a lot of these unions that are real unions, they didn't back these guys. The ones who voted for them were the so-called elites, the people with the college degrees who think Zoran Mamdani is going to pay off their college debt. They're in for a rude awakening. Appreciate the call. Appreciate you being part of the show. Appreciate you sending me that email, Elaine. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Well, Snohomish may have their sense about them, but Portland certainly doesn't. When we come back, we're going to tell you how they canceled their Veterans Parade. We're having a Veterans Parade. KVI is going to be at our Veterans Parade, but not down in Portland. We'll tell you what's going on when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Oh, this story is so entertaining to me. Remember a few days ago we told you about an arson at a Portland City Council member's house? That's not entertaining. That's sad. That's tragic. There should never be any violence of any kind targeting elected officials. But it turns out they're a victim of their own failed policy. This is Candace Avalos, who's one of their far, far left. You know, they call them the Peacocks, the Peacock crew. You have the squad in D.C. They call themselves the Peacock Cadre or whatever stupid name they have for themselves. They're the far left lunatics. Candace Avalos had this fire at her house. They suspected arson. So immediately everybody covers this story, and you can tell everybody's kind of doing it with their slant. Arson suspected. And this is a far left council member. Was it a white supremacist? Was it a neo-Nazi? Was it a conservative? Turns out it was a homeless guy. It was a homeless guy. And who are the ones that have no problem keeping the homeless on the streets? Whose policies have enabled the homeless? It's Candace Avalos. According to the Post-Millennial, police identified the suspect as 51-year-old Vashon Locust. Is that a name? Vashon Locust? Who was taken into custody for the October 26 fire. Locust faces misdemeanor charges of reckless burning and 2 counts of second-degree criminal mischief. According to police, Locust entered a shed near her home to use an electrical outlet for a heater. When the outlet failed to work, he allegedly lit a small fire that quickly spread. Emergency responders arrived at 2:40 a.m. to find the fire had engulfed Avalos' car, carport, and home. She was able to escape unharmed. Authorities initially called the incident suspicious in nature and began investigating it as possible arson. However, on Tuesday, Portland Police Bureau Chief Bob Day and Portland Fire and Rescue Chief Lauren Johnson issued a joint statement confirming the fire was not a targeted act of violence. And all the Democrats are now sitting shiva, hoping that it was so they could blame Republicans. No, it turns out you're just a victim of your own failed policies. Now, the question is, with the Portland Veterans Day Parade being canceled, is it like what happened here in Burien, where they had to detour the parade route because there were so many homeless in Burien? Is that what it is for their July 4th parade? Portland, Oregon has canceled their Veterans Day Parade due to lack of funding. The parade was originally set for Tuesday, November 11th, but has been announced by organizers that it will not happen at all. Quote, "We regret to announce that the 2025 Veterans Day Parade has been canceled. The planning team would like to thank all those who have supported the Veterans Day Parade in the past, and will count on your support for next year for 2026. We will return with a stronger, renewed focus to bring this important event that unites our community back to Portland. Again, we sincerely appreciate the support and look forward to celebrating our proud shared heritage next year and beyond." The parade typically costs about $20,000 to put on, but this year, Napoleon Hodgers of the Portland chapter of the National Association of Black Veterans said he was not able to get sponsors. His view is that there is too much uncertainty in the Portland business community at this time. I'm shocked there still is a Portland business community, given how bad the homelessness is and the riots are and everything else that's going on down in Portland, the drug use and how many businesses have left. You guys can't get $20,000 for a parade? I wish they had told us sooner. We probably could have had a whole bunch of groups rally to have a veterans parade down there. I'll tell you what, guys, if you can't go to the veterans parade down there, come up here this weekend, go to the veterans parade here in Auburn. This one here, guys, you can go to the Auburn's Veterans Day Parade. And at the parade, you get to see Big Mike, you get to see Phil, you get to see Zach. That's going to be this Saturday, November 8th. It's one of the largest Veterans Day parades in the country. This proud tradition honors nation's veterans and active military with over 150 units, marching bands, military vehicles, and more along Main Street. And don't forget, you get to see the KVI crew. They're also walking with our sister stations 101.5 Hank FM and Northwest News Radio. And you get to hang out at the KVI booth after the parade. Get all the info at KVI.com. Mike's going to be there. Phil's going to be there. Zach's going to be there. It's awesome. I know a lot of you are really looking forward to this event. It's really a fantastic, fantastic event. And I'm sure that Mike, Phil, and Zach would love to see you guys this Saturday. We go to the Warrior Injury Law Studio line, take a call from Garrett in Puyallup. Garrett, what's going on, man?
Good evening, Ari.
What's going on, man? What's up?
Talking about policy and all the programs that back in Florida. So I was part of a first congressional classroom with Adam Putnam. I know that name doesn't sound very familiar to anymore. He's the youngest U.S. U.S. congressman.
Mm-hmm.
But in college, I was the student government president, And during opening arguments, when all of our colleges got together in Tallahassee, Florida, for community colleges, they were talking about the DECA programs and who's funding this, right? But it was the entry, barriers to entry for the Hispanic community so that they could have funding to get into college. And of course, during my opening arguments, they asked me, what would be, what is your response to that? And I said, well, no one else wants to do the job, but, we rely on our agriculture, and who else is going to do it, right? Because, and at the time, it seemed a little racist, but at the same time, it's like you see how policies unfolded in all these government programs.
Well, let's do it a little differently. That's the line the Democrats use these days. The Democrats always say, who's going to pick our crops? But here's something else, is that now American workers who don't have jobs, those are the ones who can go apply for some of these jobs. And something else. If people are getting kicked off of benefit programs because they're just sitting on their butts and not doing their jobs, go do one of these jobs. Something else is the unions are the ones who want American labor and don't want to be undercut by cheap labor. That is usually a Democrat policy. President Trump has managed to get the unions on his side because they don't want to keep being undercut by millions of illegal aliens coming across the border. Garrett, appreciate the call. Appreciate you being part of the show. Appreciate the perspective. You want to be part of the show, give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Think I got time for one more call before we go to break. We go to Dave in Puyallup on the Warrior Injury Law Studio line. Dave, what's up, man?
Hey, Ari, how you doing tonight? Hey, I have a solution to what you were just talking about. You see, if you were arrested for speaking redundancy and the sentence was execution, we wouldn't have a Democratic Party.
Oh, no. No. Funny. No. But funny. Funny, but no. Appreciate the call, though, Dave. You enjoy your evening. You want to be part of the show, give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. When we come back, my friends, the Seattle Times' latest stupidity. There's an election going on. There's all these things going on with the shutdown. They're writing about how to pronounce Hawaii. I kid you not. We're going to talk about this when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome back to the Ari Hoffman Show. Just a reminder, download the KVI app. That way, you can be entered to win two tickets to an advanced screening of The Running Man starring Glenn Powell. That's the closest you're going to get to Sydney Sweeney. Make sure that you download the KVI app. Thank you, Mike. Download the KVI app so you can enter to win those tickets to see the remake of The Running Man starring Glenn Powell. It's an advanced screening. You're going to see it 4 days before it opens in theaters and on Dolby Cinema 4DX Premium Large Format and IMAX on November 14th. We're going on November 10th at Pacific Place. You get to go with me. You get to go with Mike. You get to go with Zach. So make sure you download the KVI app, plus added bonus of winning contests on the KVI app, and you can listen to the show. Seattle Times. We have to have a discussion about why nobody likes you and why media sucks around here. The Seattle Times literally had an article about the correct pronunciation of the word Hawaii. And the headline is, why we're using this spelling of Hawaii. There's an apostrophe there. So we have to call it Hawaii. Yes, they dedicated an entire article to talking about the correct spelling and pronunciation of Hawaii. Now, what's funny is this article is filled with a whole bunch of words that there are so many apostrophes and dashes. I don't know what they say. I failed French. I got a gentleman's D- in French for 3 years. I can do biblical Hebrew. I cannot do regular conversational Hebrew. I suck at it. Lucky for me, more and more conversational Hebrew is just becoming English with an Israeli accent. So that's working out well for me. But here, I'm going to try reading this paragraph to you. You ready? The island state is also the homeland of the Kanaka Maoli people and the birthplace of the Olilelo Hawaii. I can barely pronounce Sahamish, and you want me to try pronouncing all this stuff? Give me a break. It has two important diacritical marks, the Okina and the... What are we talking about here? Guys, we have a mayoral race going on right now. We have a government shutdown going on right now. We have airplanes not flying out of SeaTac right now. And you want to talk to me about the correct pronunciation of Hawaii? Are you kidding me? That's what we're doing. What's their reasoning behind this? Over 680,000 people identified as Native Hawaiian alone or in combination with other ethnicities in the 2020 U.S. Census. Yet only 47% of Native Hawaiians reside on Hawaii with the correct spelling that year. The majority don't live on the islands, and Washington has welcomed them. So much so that the organization Hawaiian Diaspora, you spelled it wrong, is based here. Washington has the third largest population of Native Hawaiians, spelled wrong, at almost 5% behind Hawaii, spelled right, at 47%, and California at 14%. Hey, guys, I know you're trying to virtue signal and all, but this isn't going to get you more subscribers to your failing newspaper. It's not. I know you're going to try, but it ain't going to fix that. It's just not. How many times do we mention Hawaii in any conversation? Mike, have we ever mentioned Hawaii in conversations? Nothing goes on there.
How about news?
Unless there's like a storm or a hurricane or a tsunami or gas prices. Gas prices.
That was the one I was going to chime in with. That one time we had higher gas prices than they do on Maui, which is, checks note, an island in an archipelago of islands.
Exactly. So that's the only time we mention Hawaii around. You know what? I'm triggered, Mike. I am officially triggered. I don't think it's fair. I want equal placement for how to pronounce Jewish words. That's right. Not Hebrew words, not Yiddish words, Jewish words. It would be great if instead of everybody calling it holla, like holla back girl, or holla at you, it's challah. Instead of Hanukkah, it's Hanukkah. I think really we should, all those people walking up to me at the RNC going, Am Yisrael Chai. Am Yisrael Chai. I think we should educate people. It's not tea. It's chai. I think you really have to get the phlegm in the back of your throat so we can do that. when you hold up your book, it's not a humish, it's a chumash. That's what we call the 5 books of Moses. I think we should have a whole article. No, of course we shouldn't do that. This is stupid. Did you guys not have enough news today with all the problems in the world? This is what we're spending time on? Cancel your subscriptions. They're not talking about a potential income tax. They're not talking about how Patty Murray and Maria Cantwell refused to vote to reopen the government. They're talking about the correct pronunciation of Hawaii. Crazy stuff. We go to the Warrior Injury Law Studio line, take a call from Matt in Shelton. Matt, make it quick, man. We got a break coming up.
Okay, first of all, my wife's Samoan, and she's not Hawaiian, but they say it Hawaii.
Hawaii.
Anyhow.
They don't have the V in there. I think you should tell the Seattle Times they're mispronouncing it.
Okay, let's move on. Okay, we went to Utah recently, and gas down there was $3.10 a gallon. It was nice, and you could eat breakfast for like $7 to $8 a plate, so you can get out with less than $20.
And you probably didn't have to deal with the homeless people either, right?
And no, hardly at all. And then the last item is New York. We need to give up on New York. New York's been a basket case since the Revolutionary War. You know, they hosted the British, and that's where the Tories came from. And if it was up to them, we'd still be under a king.
Well, I'll tell you what. With New York, the funny thing about New York is so easy to save. Giuliani did it. Bloomberg continued it. 2 guys from 2 different parties. It's if you have common sense, you can actually fix a disaster left for you by the far, far, far left.
Recently, the only thing that's coming good out of New York is Trump.
I like that. And he's not even putting his library there. I was really hoping it was going to be in Midtown Manhattan so that the Democrats would constantly have a reminder of how he made America great again. Matt, appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. When we come back, my friends, more election results and more insanity from the Democratic Socialists of America coming out of New York and impacting us here. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI, your home for the politically homeless, streaming live at KVI.com and the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, call or text the Warrior Injury Law Studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up this hour, Erica Kirk gets very personal about what's going on at home with death threats and such since her husband's assassination. But before we get to any of that, got some breaking news for you on election results right now.
Talk Radio 570 KVI, breaking news on the Ari Hoffman Show.
I'm looking right now at the latest election results out of our area, Seattle and King County. Gurmay Zahalai's lead has grown to roughly 18,000 votes. And that means that he's probably going to beat Claudia Balducci. This was another one of these races where no matter who wins, King County loses, but he's the more extreme version. Does this have anything to do with the socialist sweep? No. It really has to do with the fact that he had a better ground game and he has more people excited about him. Not that many people get excited about Claudia Balducci. So right now, I'm not seeing this as a bellwether of anything. I just look at it as, well, there's not going to be any difference between these two. Look, I don't like any of his policies. This guy's full in on defunding the police. This guy's full in on taxing anything that moves, but Claudia Balducci may not be as vocal, but guess what? She supported a lot of these bad policies. So in that regard, I don't see much of a difference here. Sarah Nelson is still getting blown out by Diane Foster over on the Seattle City Council. Seattle City Attorney Ann Davidson is getting completely destroyed. Erica Evans is up another 47,000 votes. That's 63% to 35%. A lot of you keep asking me, Ari, why aren't we seeing the people who came out to vote for Harrell vote for Ann Davidson or vote for Sarah Nelson? Because none of these races are the same. Let's start with this. Ann Davidson, whoever ran her campaign, should be fired immediately. It was a terrible campaign. Barely knew she was running. It's like she's running her own social media and barely posting, and she's posting conflicting things. But number two is she managed to alienate both sides. The left hates her because she's not progressive. And the right got mad at her because she started suing the Trump administration over everything, and she became the public face. She was always standing behind Bruce Harrell. She was always standing behind what's-his-face, Nick Brown, the AG. She's always standing behind these people trying to win the left, trying too hard. She won last time, barely, because she managed to beat the psycho Nicole Thomas Kennedy. And that's only because she was running against somebody who was a devout member of Antifa, who said that the Antifa plan she had for office, this was her big policy plan, was setting up an Antifa staging area between Seattle and Portland. That was her big plan. And Ann only managed to barely defeat her. In this case here, the left learned from last time. Erica Evans came off as normal, put together, even though she has no experience. And a lot of you texted me yesterday. Apparently, a bunch of you know Erica Evans, and some of you even went to law school with Erica Evans, and none of you had anything nice to say. That was interesting. Also, none of you had anything nice to say about Diane Foster either. It's amazing to me. This is what happens in a small town like Seattle. Everybody knows each other. I know we think we're a big city, but we're really not. So you want to know why they're getting blown out and Bruce Harrell isn't? Because a lot of people don't have any name recognition for you guys at all. Because right now, has Seattle gotten better? No, we're still living under the failed policies. Has crime gone down? I would argue it hasn't. I would argue that prosecution has gone up, but crime has gone up too. And I know the numbers say that crime has gone down. No, people just stopped reporting it. Are we now prosecuting people? Sure, but not as much as we should be. And that's a staffing issue in Ann's office. Look, I've had issues. There's cases I want them to take on that they haven't taken on, which I'm kind of upset about personally. So I got to say, at this point, I voted for Ann because she's better than the alternative, and I happen to like Ann personally. But terrible campaign from somebody who's run other campaigns before and is usually better at this. So those are the two big developments. However, the one we still need to watch is the Seattle mayoral race. I was crunching the numbers, and I'm a little concerned right now. Not that Bruce Harrell has any great shakes, but socialist Katie Wilson is closing the gap. She's up about 1,000 votes on Bruce Harrell from where she was before. Katie Wilson, the one who dropped out of Oxford 6 weeks before graduation. I had somebody from the show reach out to me, and they said, Ari, I went to Oxford, and the only reason somebody drops out 6 weeks before graduation is a medical issue, a behavioral issue, or they're going to fail all their finals. That's it. We've never heard about any medical issue, and the left loves talking about that kind of stuff, so they could talk about healthcare. Haven't heard anything about that. If it was some kind of, I don't know, pregnancy or something, we would have probably heard about that because you probably would have talked about that because the left loves that kind of stuff. Was it she was going to fail all her finals? For somebody who everything was given to her in life, that's my bet. I don't think it's a behavioral thing. This looks like a woman who's never gotten in trouble before in her life, and that's a good thing. But this doesn't seem like a behavioral thing. This seems to be like somebody who's dumb and probably only gone to Oxford because of who her parents are. Probably one of those. Have you seen any interview with Katie Wilson, who you thought was a good interview? A single one? None of them are. None of them. Not a single one.
How about news?
Exactly. Dr. Evil understands. So there's your latest updates. If there's a specific race you want us to look into, because it's hard to track them all, if there's a specific race you want results on, like our friends at Snohomish reached out to us and said, hey, Ari, can you look into these? I know yesterday a lot of people were talking about Clyde Hill. That one's still pretty close. You give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Meanwhile, in New York, they're already seeing the results of Mamdani. According to the New York Post, hundreds of thousands of New Yorkers are prepared to bolt from the Big Apple if socialist candidate Zoran Mamdani wins Tuesday's mayoral race. This is from right beforehand. Around 765,000 people out of the 8.4 million residents who call New York City home are preparing to leave, with about 9% of New Yorkers sharing they would definitely leave the city if Mamdani is elected. Now, he already was, and this survey was conducted by JL Partners. This is actual polling data. About 25% of New Yorkers, that's 2.12 million, said they would consider packing up and leaving. Well, housing's about to get a lot cheaper because there'll be less people who actually want the housing. I guess Zoran Mamdani's plan is actually working. Among high earners, 7% of those making over $250,000 a year said they would definitely leave. Poll results highlighted widespread unease about the 34-year-old assemblyman taking over at City Hall, warning that a mass departure could have severe economic consequences nationwide because it's literally the capital of capitalism here in America. I think we have a quote here somewhere. Do we have some audio from Bain? Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I meant Mamdani. Right. I'm sorry. That's who I meant. Yes. Here's Mamdani giving an address today about his plans for the city.
We take Gotham from the corrupt, the rich, the oppressors of generations who have kept you down with myths of opportunity, and we give it back to you, the people. Gotham is yours. None shall interfere. Do as you please. But start by storming Blackgate and freeing the oppressed. Step forward those who would serve. For an army will be raised. The powerful will be ripped from their decadent nests and cast out into the cold world that we know and endure. Courts will be convened. Spoils will be enjoyed. Blood will be shed. The police will survive as they learn to serve true justice. This great city, it will endure.
Okay. You're not wrong, Mike. You're not wrong.
Seems a little intense. When did Zoran Mamdani get tanks and what's a Blackgate?
and Batmobiles.
Yeah, right.
When did he get all that? I will say, though, Mike, you're not wrong. I know you picked this clip as a joke. But when he gave that socialist speech right after he won the election, and you even have Van Jones from CNN who goes, what happened to that really nice guy on TikTok? What happened to him? I mean, do you remember the quotes this guy was saying yesterday? Let's start with this.
The sun may have set over our city this evening, but as Eugene Debs once said, I can see the dawn of a better day for humanity. For as long as we can remember, the working people of New York have been...
Yeah, okay, I'm just going to... enough of that. He's quoting the guy who ran to be the socialist nominee of the President of the United States 5 times. That's who he's quoting, and everybody's cheering it. Mind you, I bet you most of those people have no idea who he is. And if they do know who he is, that's even scarier. Because that's the DSA people in the room, the Democratic Socialists of America. He also said this.
After all, the conventional wisdom would tell you that I am far from the perfect candidate. I am young, despite my best efforts to grow older. I am Muslim. I am a democratic socialist. And most damning of all, I refuse to apologize for any of this.
So that means he refuses to apologize for all the anti-Semitism, refuses to apologize for all the pro-terrorism, refuses to apologize for all the defund the police, redistributing wealth, everything that's going to be terrible for New York. New York has one saving grace. It's the New York City Council, State Assembly, the City Assembly, the State Assembly, and the governor. Well, Kathy Hochul's going to do whatever this guy wants. She endorsed him, and she just wants to get reelected. And as we heard from Councilmember Ina Vernikoff, who was on our show just the other day from New York, she said that Elise Stefanik's going to declare any day now, and she's going to be running against Kathy Hochul. And I got to tell you, Mamdani's going to be the best advertising for Elise Stefanik. It really is. Because as he fails and fails and fails, or can't enact his policies, and as people flee, people are going to say, we want Elise Stefanik. What, you're going to pick Kathy Hochul instead? The left doesn't even like her. She's probably going to be challenged by somebody on the far left. I wouldn't be surprised if she doesn't survive the primary. And you get some far-left wackadoodle Democratic Socialist of America who comes out trying to be the governor of New York. And once that happens, if there's actually a socialist governor and a socialist mayor, just cut New York out of the union, just let them drift off into the Atlantic Ocean. Just let it go, because then it's going to be a lost cause. Absolutely. When I was a kid growing up in New York, I remember going into the city with my father on the train. And you would come into Grand Central, and when you would get off the train at Grand Central, the place just smelled of urine. It just reeked. Steam, heat, and urine. That's what it smelled like. You'd walk through the tunnels. Grand Central Station isn't like Union Station in downtown Seattle, or rather right there at the edge of SoDo. It's in Pioneer Square area. It's not like that. It has tunnels everywhere that pop you up in streets in all different directions. Those tunnels were filled with homeless people when I was a kid. Filled with it. I remember how excited my father was. He took us when Rudy Giuliani started renovating Grand Central Station, and when they started cleaning up New York City, he took us. And we would go to Grand Central Station. We would just hop the train. We loved the trains as kids. We would just hop the train into New York City and watch as they restored the marbling. And they brought in all these exhibits, and they brought in a train museum, and they brought in old cars from old-timey trains. It was really great. They cleaned the place up. They brought back the restaurants that had all been boarded up and closed. They renovated sections to add new restaurants. One of my favorite delis, Mendy's, yes, the one from Seinfeld, opened up a branch inside Grand Central Station. It was great. You wanted to be in a train station. They have this beautiful ceiling with the constellations above you. It's gorgeous. If you haven't been there, it's absolutely gorgeous. We always see that ceiling get destroyed in every movie, be it The Avengers and you got that big thing come crashing in, or whatever movie it is, that thing's always getting destroyed. But the beautiful ceiling there, they were doing laser light shows as you were going to your trains. You know what they started putting on the tracks? This was great. And maybe this started my affinity for scotch, Mike. This is what happens. So what happens? You turn 21 in New York and your friends take you out. Yeah, tequila! Woo! Shot, 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 shot. Right, that's what happens. But then you actually find out what you like to drink. That's a whole different thing. So I remember before I turned 21, they had these bartenders right before you go to your train. They used to have dining cars, but you just get snacks, not real food. But they used to have bartenders. And the bartenders would they'd serve scotch, they'd serve soda, they serve chips. They had a whole bunch of stuff. And it's nice to get a snack at the end of the day. I don't care that's overpriced. You just feel a little bit more luxurious when a guy with a bow tie is serving you something on a train platform. A guy in a white shirt, black pants, bow tie, and he's got all his little mixing stuff there. That's when I really like my scotch. Have a little scotch and a bag of Fritos on the way home. It was awesome. For people who think I hate mass transit, you don't know the true story of Ari Hoffman. I was a strap hanger for years, taking the subways, taking the buses, taking the trains, and I loved it once it was safe. I loved it once it was comfortable. I loved it once I knew I wasn't going to get shivved by a homeless person or have to deal with any of that. And now Zoran Mamdani wants to make transit free. One, who's paying for it? Who are you taxing? Because nothing's free. But two, what happened here in Seattle when we did free transportation, which it is right now? Mike, the other night when I went to the Kamala Harris thing, I did just what we did when we went to the Seahawks thing, just walked right on. Because nobody's checking for anything, nobody's paying for any of this kind of stuff. There's no turnstiles. Just walked right on. And you know what's crazy to me about the downtown stations? It'd be so easy to put turnstiles because all of those things require you going down into the subway, below the earth. Turnstiles are an easy thing, and they don't have any of that. None of that here. So what happened during COVID? I would argue it happened before COVID. Our mass transit here turned into rolling homeless encampments. And that's what they want for New York. That's what they want New York to become. That is his big vision. What happened when Bane in The Dark Knight Rises turned Gotham over to the people? What happened when he did that? A whole bunch of lunatics are running the streets. What happened in Seattle when they turned Capitol Hill to the people? It was a war zone for 4 weeks. It was an absolute war zone in there. And then it eventually deteriorated into a glorified homeless encampment with guns. You really want to do this to the greatest city in the country? Some of you have argued, well, at least now that's going to happen. Everybody will get a lesson in how bad this is. I'm not sure that's what's going to happen. They'll just say the right's being reactionary. Oh, he's not that bad. And judging what I saw from those people at Kamala Harris's speech the other night who were all cheering when they heard Zoran Mamdani got elected, you think these people are going to turn on this guy? It's an obsession with him. An absolute obsession with him. Listen to it again. This is what happened on election night.
You have a Virginia Attorney General, Jay Jones. And as of just a few moments ago, New York City has a new
She couldn't even get the words out of her mouth. Couldn't even get his name out of her mouth.
So this is how liberty dies. With thunderous applause.
What are these people cheering? We had a caller yesterday who disagreed with me. We had a caller to the show. And when I challenged this caller on what exactly do you think is going to get better under Katie Wilson, the socialist mayor, they couldn't actually name anything. Couldn't actually name anything that's going to get better. First of all, I don't think anything's going to get better under Harold or Katie Wilson. I'm an equal opportunity. Both these people suck. But what are you excited about? That socialism one? You think that's going to pay off your bills magically? You think that's going to pay off your credit card debt? You think that's going to pay off your student debt? Are you crazy? It's only going to make things worse, especially when your employer announces, we're out of here. I love New York. I love New York. I love to vacation there. I'm glad I don't live there anymore. But it's going to be really, really sad to see this happen. It's going to be really, really sad if this is the momentum going into 2026. I agree with our previous caller who said the Trump administration needs to say to blue states, here's the cost of these other states, here's the cost of you guys, because you guys are jacking up the gas prices, because you guys are taxing everything that moves. I think that is a great marketing strategy. I'm actually going to email the Trump administration with this tonight when we're off air, because I think it is a brilliant strategy. When we come back, my friends, lots more to discuss as the show continues, including the interview with Erica Kirk that'll just break your heart. But it's important to listen to it. Also, why is the Treasury Department now putting more sanctions on Middle East countries? We'll give you all details when we come back. But first, Todd Herman's Daily Thoughtcast right now on The Ari Hoffman Show. Welcome back to the Ari Hoffman Show. And if you want to walk this way with us, join KVI at the Auburn Veterans Day Parade this Saturday. As one of the largest Veteran Day parades in the country, the proud tradition is going to honor our nation's veterans and active military with over 150 units, marching bands, military vehicles, and more along Main Street. And if you're walking with us, you literally get to walk with us. Look for Phil and Zach in the morning ride, along with Big Mike in the parade, and our sister stations 101.5 Hank FM and Northwest News Radio, and hang out at the KVI booth after the parade. Find out more information at KVI.com.
Well, a point of order. You can't actually walk with us in the parade.
I was using the music.
You went too far. You went too far,
You can't
Fred.
walk in the parade.
Yeah, you can watch us walk in the parade.
If you want to be really committed, you can walk in the crowd and weave your way through people alongside the parade.
There you go.
And go, I'm walking in the parade with you.
Yeah, and then you can find yourself at the end of the parade route at the intersection of Main Street and A Street, where the KVI booth is going to be, along with our sister stations, Northwest News Radio and 101.5 Hank FM, Seattle's Real Country. That's where, like, all of the food vendors are going to be permitted, I'm sure,
Yes,
as
of
well
course.
as all the other cool activities and stuff. It's always fun. It's one of my favorite events of the year, and we're always grateful to be invited to salute our veterans, and it's going to be a great day.
I will say is that this is the event I get the most FOMO out of that I can't go to because it's always on a Saturday, and because I keep Sabbath, I can't go. I do like that the promotions department, Mike, they came up with their own idea, separately from us. We used to joke we need a cardboard stand out of me just standing there, and actually they came up to me with that idea, and I said, make sure I'm holding a phone with the app on it that says download the KVI app, which you should do right now, and then you get a chance to possibly win tickets to join us to go see an advanced screening of The Running Man starring Glenn Powell. We're going on November 10th at Pacific Place. That's 4 days before the movie is released in theaters on November 14th. So make sure you download the KVI app. That way, while you're walking in the parade, while you're watching us walk in the parade.
Not playing that song ever again?
No. While you're watching us, it got in my head, man. Watching us walk in the parade, you can be listening to KVI. By the way, I wonder if Bob Ferguson's going to show up, because that KVI listener who saw him at that July 4th parade when he was running for office and goes, hey, look, it's Turd Ferguson. I wish I had that audio. I don't know what I did with it. It was such good stuff. Meanwhile, I got some breaking news for you right now.
Talk Radio 570 KVI. Breaking news on the Ari Hoffman Show.
I'm getting this from NBC News. A 19-year-old man from the Seattle area has been arrested in the Michigan terror plot. The 8th such arrest in connection with a terrorist attack planned for Halloween. Syed Ali Murreh. Is he Presbyterian? Well, that sounds Presbyterian to me. I think he's Presbyterian. Of Kenton, Washington, was arrested Wednesday by the FBI. Officials say he was in communication with 7 other alleged ISIS supporters who have been arrested in the case. It's a whole bunch of Presbyterians. Co-conspirator Khan Jimenez Guzel and, well, basically the other names are exact. Ali, Mohammed, were each charged with 1 count of conspiracy to provide material support to designated foreign terrorist organizations, in this case ISIS, and 1 count of attempting to provide material support to a designated foreign terrorist organization, according to a complaint out of the U.S. District Court for the District of New Jersey. 5 individuals have been arrested in connection with the alleged plot and effort to join ISIS in the Detroit area. Muhammad Ali, not that one, Mayed Muhammad, Ayed Nassour, and 2 juveniles they have not named yet. 2 others, Jimenez Guzel and Milo Sidarat, have been arrested in New Jersey. According to the FBI's complaint, Murreh and Jimenez Guzel were going to travel November 16th and 17th to Turkey. But once the arrest of the other suspects in Michigan went public, both accelerated their travel plans, and they were planning on going sooner than that. They got them at the food court in Newark Airport. The food court. I love how every time they release a little bit more on this, a few more details, just a bit here and the other. Prosecutor said on a call, Jimenez Guzel allegedly said, the feds are going to be looking for us in a week, maybe, so we are leaving today or tomorrow. We're leaving immediately. We have a ticket. We got one today. We are all leaving soon. 5 of us are in the article, and the feds, they're going to be looking for us soon. If we don't leave, we're cooked. Okay. Hang on. I'm reading between the lines a little bit. Mike, you remember we did the report on Friday when the story broke, and it said that Kash Patel had mentioned this a little too early. Now I think I know. This is all speculation. I think I know what they were upset about. When they saw their names in the paper, these guys said, we got to get out of here. When they heard there was a Halloween terror plot, they knew they had been targeted even when their names weren't out there. So by announcing it, you actually, I wonder if they got all of them. What if some of these guys already fled the country? Yeah, we could be equal opportunity. We could bash our side too. If they blew the whistle on something that anybody shouldn't have known about yet. Morell allegedly told the FBI he had planned to travel to Syria for the purposes of joining ISIS as a fighter. Morell was previously the subject of a counterterrorism probe in 2023 when he was a minor. In that case, he allegedly discussed conducting attacks on behalf of ISIS with an individual in Canada. Wait a second. Mike, what year are we in? We're in 2025. And you had this guy discussing terrorism plans in 2023, and he was still out on the streets? Why didn't you charge him with attempting to join ISIS then? Mind-boggling. Oh, wait, in 2024, they did it again. In 2024, he did it again, and you guys don't go, oh, maybe this is going to be a threat? Insane. Absolutely insane. Trump administration is also now cracking down on Hezbollah. So for those of you who haven't been following, Hezbollah is trying to make it look like they're tough again. Hezbollah, after Operation Grim Beeper, none of them have the balls to fight anymore. Sorry, I had to do that one. So what's the Treasury Department is sanctioning Hezbollah operatives who are exploiting Lebanon's cash economy. What they're doing is basically funneling money from Iran to fund missiles and other things that they're launching at Israel. Israel's going in and taking care of business. Why is the Trump administration getting involved in this? Because if Hezbollah does what it does and nobody does anything to Hezbollah, Gaza, Hamas, they're going to be emboldened and they're going to start this all over again and bye-bye peace deal. So they're trying to nip this in the bud right away and saying terror doesn't pay. We're not negotiating with terrorists. We are freezing your assets so you cannot fund terrorism anymore. When we come back, my friends, lots more to discuss. Erica Kirk was interviewed on Fox News last night about all the conspiracy theories surrounding her husband's death. We're going to have that intense and heartbreaking audio for you when we come back. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome back to the Ari Hoffman Show. Over on the text line, some of you are asking about the 5th Legislative District. That's Chad Magandaz. He's unfortunately going to lose by about 10 points there. Just want to make sure I got you the election updates you wanted. Erica Kirk Erica Kirk from Turning Point USA was on Fox News last night talking about her husband's assassination. Something that's been going on the internet, people like Candace Owens have completely lost their minds. Candace Owens went from blaming, hang on, I want to make sure I got the order right. For Charlie Kirk's assassination, she blamed the Jews, she blamed Republicans, she blamed Trump, and now she's blaming Turning Point USA. So she was asked about the conspiracy theories surrounding her husband's death. Here's what she said.
There's other theories swirling around about Charlie's assassination.
Right.
How does that make you feel?
When everything happened, my phone died and became a black hole. I just didn't turn it on for weeks on end. I've intentionally insulated myself because I need to guard my heart, and I need to be there for my kids, and I need to be there for Turning Point. And what I've realized through all of this is that everyone grieves differently. Everyone is trying to figure out, and I don't blame them, how does this happen? How does somebody become so radicalized where they can justify this in their own head? We just lost one of the greatest voices of our generation. Why? How? What's behind it? Like, everyone's trying to process this. And I respect that. But where my heart is just asking for some grace is for the ones who were there that day. They have to relive that every single day. He didn't die in a car accident. He didn't die from cancer. He was assassinated. And the difference between this and previous assassinations in this country is there was no social media. There was no AI. I can't tell you how many fake images are out there of all of this. And again, my only request is that just please pray and consider and think about whatever you put online, because it's going to impact his kids in the future. I don't want my kids to go on the internet one day when they're older and see things that it's just, we're all trying to process this in their own way, and I appreciate that. But just some grace would be nice.
Do you remember the day of the assassination? For those of you who are listening to the show, somebody called me all mad because I had said time and time again, the video is horrific. Don't watch it. Don't share it. Don't show it. Because you don't want to be the one who's the reason that her kids saw this or that she saw this. You don't want to be that person. And somebody called me yelling and screaming at me, you're trying to censor us. You're trying to... No. I said it for the exact reason she just said. But here's something else with these conspiracy theorists who are out there. It seems like all these conspiracy theorists want is just Charlie Kirk's audience. They're trying to be the one who gives you the inside scoop. You know the thing about Charlie Kirk? There was only one Charlie Kirk. And that's because Charlie did it because he believed in the mission. People out there right now trying to be Charlie Kirk, they shouldn't be Charlie Kirk. They should be themselves. You know, take our friend Cam Higbee for a minute. Cam Higbee is going to college campuses and he's having the discussions. He's not trying to open a youth organization. He's just trying to fill a little void and having conversations and trying to continue having those conversations in Charlie's memory. He's not trying to be Charlie Kirk. There's other influencers who are trying to do a TV show or trying to do a podcast or trying to do a radio show who are trying to be Charlie Kirk. You can't be Charlie Kirk. You can only be the best version of you. So stop trying that and stop trying to take his audience with these crazy conspiracy theories. It's insane. The woman lost her husband barely 2 months ago. 2 months ago. And she has to deal with you guys rambling because you know what happens. Every time that one of these conspiracy theories comes out there, her staff's got to come to her, the ones who saw Charlie Kirk get assassinated, and say, do you want to respond? Do you want to deal with this? Do you want to issue a statement? I think Turning Point USA has been doing the smartest thing with just, nope, we are not acknowledging any of this. I saw a video, I think it was a day or two after the assassination, and I didn't realize this is how things worked with Turning Point USA, was that the president of the chapter of the club on a college campus would usually be the one who gets to hold the microphone for all the Looney Tunes asking questions. That was an honor given to the person who's leading the chapter. And I saw an interview with the kid who was holding the microphone. He goes, I thought it was going to be the greatest day of my life. I get to hold the microphone for Charlie Kirk, and it turned into the worst day of my life, and I can't get the images out of my head because I saw it happen right in front of me. The kid who came up there to challenge Charlie Kirk, saw that blood flying. He came up there to challenge him, and he was crushed by that. He has to relive that every single day for the rest of his life. I hope the two of them are getting therapy. I'm very, very serious. I hope they are. People, you don't see them sharing that video as much anymore. And that's why I really didn't want anybody sharing the video. That's why I never shared the video. This family doesn't have enough problems. They don't have enough going on. These kids are never going to see their father again.
You're very protective of your children's privacy.
Yes.
As Charlie's profile grew, were you concerned?
We live in a day and age where the internet feels so entitled to everything. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? You know, explain this, explain that. And we live in a world where children don't even have a childhood anymore. You know, why are you posting a photo of your kids so that you can get $50 off a stroller? Like, that does not make sense to me.
Crazy.
If you can't afford a stroller, buy one you can afford. Like, that makes sense to me. But to use your child or a photo of you standing in the bathroom embracing them specifically, and you have 500 copies of that same pose so you can get it right for social media, is bizarre to me. And it was to Charlie too. And our babies are not for anyone else's viewing other than ours in our family. And why would I want AI images of my children out there? Why would I want... And yeah, we get kidnapping threats. We always have. We get death threats. We always have. You're just smart about it. Protect what you love. Protect who you love.
That's why you barely see pictures of my kids online. If my kids say, hey, Dad, I want to be in a picture, or I want you to take a picture of me or something, I'll do it. But, you know, that's why I've kind of shielded my kids from a lot of this kind of stuff. I mean, some of them came running for it. My son, Jonah's like, I want to be on the radio show, and I want to do segments, and I want to be here, and I want to do all this. My daughter loves it. My other son, he doesn't really want any of this. He doesn't want to do that. I totally get it. From the amount of death threats I get, I totally get it. I can only imagine how many Charlie Kirk gets, exponentially more, and look how that turned out. I can only imagine this woman's life. But I don't want to leave you on this totally morbid note before we go into the good news. So this woman, even with everything she went through, a little bit of inspiration for everybody.
You wanted to see Charlie immediately and came up. Take us through that.
When we walked into that room, he had this smirk on his face. That smirk to me is that look of, you thought you could stop what I've built. You thought that you could end this vision, this movement, this revival. You thought you could do that by murdering me. You got my body. You didn't get my soul.
Yeah. Imagine being able to give that kind of message over. I got to say, this interview was so powerful. I watched the entire thing on Fox News on Jesse Waters' show last night. It's streaming right now. It's over on social media. I recommend you watch the whole thing uninterrupted with no bathroom breaks, no food, no nothing, but make sure you bring a tissue box. It will upset you. It will rip your heart out, but it'll also inspire you for Charlie's message. And I highly recommend everybody go stream that over on foxnews.com right now. Only good news to wrap up the show. Good news headlines put a smile on your face heading into your evening commute. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Only good news to wrap up another amazing episode of the Ari Hoffman Show right here on Talk Radio 570 KVI. And we start with good news out of Hollywood, my friends. Apparently they're making or in pre-production of planning Gremlins 3. Chris Columbus, who wrote the original, is going to be returning. Steven Spielberg, who produced the original, is going to be returning. However, no word yet on Zach Galligan. No word yet on Phoebe Cates. And I assume Gizmo will be back. I assume the Mogwai. I assume he'll be back, right? I assume Spike or some other version of him will be back. Gizmo. I assume they'll all be back. Now, of course, we get into the debate a little early this year. We had this debate the other day. Is Gremlins a Christmas movie? Now, going by the formula we have here on the Ari Hoffman Show, it's does the movie happen without Christmas? If Christmas is essential to the plot, it's a Christmas movie. Now, Mike has said many times there's plenty of Christmas movies that get completely chucked out the window by this logic just because Ari's trying to save Die Hard, right? But that is how I go with this.
Yep. It's a Wonderful Life, not a Christmas
not
movie.
Not a Christmas movie. Gone. Completely gone.
White Christmas, not a Christmas movie, according to our logic.
Exactly. But Gremlins, the first Gremlins, definitely a Christmas movie. Second one.
He's a Christmas gift.
Yeah. Gizmo is literally the dad bought him from the guy let me back up. The dad bought him from the son of the old man, or the grandson of the old man, to give
at
to
the curio
Billy.
shop. Yes,
exactly, right. And then you weren't ready, right? you one day might be ready, right? That's how we know it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like if it was not Christmas, he would not have found his way into the curio shop and would not have bought little Gizmo for Christmas.
Exactly, and traded it for a smokeless ashtray. Right, exactly. Wow, the things that are rattling around in my head. Get it all out of there. So, will Phoebe Cates be returning? Has she been in anything? I haven't heard that name in a long time.
Outside of my dreams, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe not.
I don't think she looks the same. It's just not. There you go. All right.
There's so many different horn sounds
so
here.
Many.
Shout out to Austin from the Northwest Auto Show, which you can listen to every Saturday morning from 6 to 9 a.m.
Gave you all the good stuff there. Meanwhile, in other news, first Star Trek Lego, officially certified by Lego, has been revealed. The Enterprise D from Star Trek The Next Generation. That's right, it looks incredible, by the way. Got over 3,600 pieces. Personally, I think it should have been 1,701 pieces, but probably wouldn't have been as cool. It also includes minifigures of the entire crew. Well, not all 1,002 of them that are on that ship, but, the 7 command crew and Wesley and Guinan. They're all part of this little fun. In fact, Mike, I don't know if you noticed this, the props they each have. So Data has his cat as a little prop there. And Riker has a trombone as his little prop there.
Oh, that's cute. I love it.
Picard, I can't tell if that's a glass for wine. It should be a wine bottle. Give him a flute. Give Picard a little flute. Worf looks like he's got a pad, not a bat left. Okay, they've all got little tchotchkes or whatever it is they have with them. This thing looks incredible. In fact, the saucer section even detaches. Mike showed me that. It detaches from the rest of it. It looks great. I have put in my calendar that on Black Friday at midnight, I want to buy this thing because if you are one of the first people to buy this thing, you also get a shuttlecraft that comes with this guy. That's right, a little shuttlecraft model. I'm excited. I love the Lego stuff, so I will actually be trying to buy this for my kids, Totally for my children. That is why I am buying the $400 plus tax Lego set. It's not on sale yet, but it will be on Black Friday. So that's over at Lego's website. It looks great. Sometimes you see these Lego sets and you're like, nah. It looks like they made special pieces for this thing. It really looks incredible. It reminds me of a model I had as a kid, which I don't even remember what happened to that sucker, but that was pretty awesome. So this is all nostalgia for me. 100% nostalgia. Yeah, I'm not going to share this on social media. I don't want any of you taking my little shuttlecraft. I want to get the shuttlecraft. I shouldn't even be mentioning this story on air right now. Now I just told a whole bunch of you about it, and now I have to compete with you people so I can get my little Enterprise. It's fine. We love our audience. We share with you. And if one of you gets the shuttlecraft and I don't get the shuttlecraft, I'll get over it. That's going to do it for us today, my friends, but fear not, we'll be back tomorrow with more insane stories, more exciting guests, and, of course, more chances to download the app and win movie tickets. You've been listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI.